Kanye and Taylor, the Gallagher brothers, you name it. Music has seen some pretty big rivalries at the very top, but forget family feuds and creative clashes. Today I've got a very different sort of big name head-to-head for you guys. It is, of course, the Sony XM5s versus the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. Both are 5-star performers in their own right, but which pair of headphones is right for you? Let's find out. Hey guys, Louis here from Smart Home Sounds, and I know what you're thinking. Weren't both of these pairs of headphones released a few years back? And yeah, you're right, both of these were launched in 2022, so they're not new to the market by any means, but I've been testing a lot of headphones lately, and by a lot, I mean like a lot, and it's got me thinking, if I was to put all of these on the table in front of you and tell you the prices, but not when they were released or if a new version was due, then I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys would pick one of these two pairs in front of me. Now I think it's easy, especially as a tech reviewer, to focus on brand new models and get caught up in are these the Gen 1 or Gen 2s and when's the new version coming? When in reality, if I was in the market for a new pair of headphones right now, I would just want to know which headphones tick the most boxes for me and which offer great value for money. And I feel both the XM5s and the Momentum 4s are very solid options and come in at least 20% cheaper than the likes of the new Bose Quiet Comfort Ultras, having come down a fair amount from their launch prices and, dare I say it, offer the most value for money in 2024. Now you guys have heard me say it before, Sony's flagship XM5 headphones have pretty much been my go-to pair ever since their release. They're light and stylish, they boast stellar noise cancellation, high fidelity sound, touch controls, Bluetooth 5.2, AUDAC support, aux-in, and a more than capable 30-hour battery life, with ANC on that is. The one potential sticky point was that launch price of £380, which opened up a big gap for rivals to start breathing down their necks with lower prices and bigger leaps in tech. Now there's no doubt that Sennheiser capitalised on this with their Momentum 4s, being newer and just shy of £100 cheaper at launch. Now these offer a really competitive feature set, impressive audio, and they even outdid Sony with their exceptional 60-hour battery life. But we'll go into more depth on that later on. Now, I've been lucky enough to have spent plenty of time with both of these options over the last couple of years, and I'm going to take you guys through the key pros and cons of each from my experience, which should help you make the right choice when it comes to your next pair of daily drivers. Now, I'm going to kick off with design because as important as sound quality is in a pair of headphones, these are also going to be sat on your head for long periods of time. So obviously we want them to not only look good, but also feel good and comfortable too. Now I think we can all agree, both the XM5s and the Momentum 4s seem to prioritize comfort and usability over flair and flamboyance. Both come in a couple of different colorways, but in my opinion, the XM5s offer the sleeker style of the two with a slightly more modern design. They're nice and light on the head, and I'm a really big fan of this synthetic leather that covers the headband and these memory foam ear pads too. Obviously, there's only two buttons on these, power on and Bluetooth pairing and ANC mode settings. All the rest of the controls are touch capacitive on that right ear cup, so a really nice and sleek pair of headphones on the whole. Of course, if you're not a fan of touch control, then that might be a mark against the XM5s there, but for me, once you get used to what the different swipes do, it works well, and I personally prefer it for control over those annoying multifunction buttons that you're never quite 100% sure on what does what. Taking a look at these Momentum 4s then, and I can see why some people would be a big fan of this design. Now I do feel like they have lost a little bit of their character from iterations of old, but these definitely still feel a little more studio-like to me. I quite like the fabric headband, and the ear pads are really nice and soft. Again, touch capacitive controls, and then we've got a physical button, which is a multifunction button, which can be used for power on and off, voice assistant activation, and your Bluetooth pairing. ANC modes are changed by pinching the ear cup like this, which worked better than I expected. They are heavier than the XM5s by about 50 grams, and I have personally found that they clamp the head a little bit more. Now, it's nothing like the Bowers & Wilkins PX7S2s if you've ever tried those. Plus, this band does a really good job of distributing the weight across your head, so these are still super comfortable for those longer listening sessions. Obviously, as premium options, both of these also come with their carry cases, which I've got here. Now, to be honest with you guys, they are pretty similar, but I do actually prefer the Momentum's 4 carry case. It's just a little bit smaller in terms of form factor. It means it's a little bit easier to travel with, and plus, I prefer the internal layout of this one. Ultimately, as always, design is of course subjective, and what works for me might be different for you. It all just comes down to your own personal preference. Now, I'm going to shake things up a little bit for you guys today. So before we get into the nitty gritty of features and functionality, which of course all play a big part when picking a good pair of headphones, first I want to talk to you guys about the sound quality, because Well, there's a lot to get into, and once you know you like the look and feel of them, then they need to sound the part too. So, how do these two headphones sound then? Well, to put it in a single word, excellent. But come on, we knew that already. If you want the honest truth, this one is really difficult to split. Both of these headphones offer exceptional performance straight out of the box, and the fact that you can customize both is all the more reason why it's so hard to give you a definitive answer as to which pair is truly better. If we're really diving into it, I love how the Momentum 4s stick pretty true to Sennheiser's bass forward heritage, and they definitely impress more in the low end department. The bass, especially with bass boost on, really helps deliver a satisfying rumble that adds a lot of depth to the overall experience. Now the XM5s on the other hand do showcase a bit more of a precise and agile take on the low end frequencies, and although not quite as pronounced as the Momentum 4s, these still offer a really nice and controlled bass response. There's no doubt the Momentum 4s strike a really nice tonal balance between the mids and the highs too, and you can expect a really enjoyable and immersive listening experience regardless of the genre of music that you try to throw at these. However, for me, the XM5s do offer slightly more clarity and detail across the entire frequency spectrum. Vocals cut through the instrumentals a little more effectively, and they can reach higher volumes without sacrificing any of the detail either. Now don't get me wrong, this is only a marginal difference, but if you're like me and you like depth and you like to listen loudly, this is definitely something that's worth thinking about. Realistically, there isn't a poor performer when it comes to sound performance, and both of these have earned their place as top performers in this category, and there's a reason that we're still making this comparison in 2024. If you want my personal preference, I'm slightly more partial to the XM5s. They're just a little more texturally diverse, and I think that they offer a truly immersive sound, even without their 360 reality audio settings. I also think, as far as ANC headphones go, they're a great example of a premium choice that will satisfy both audiophiles and casual listeners. Now the problem is, I could probably argue the same for the Momentum 4s. Their sound profile is different, as I've mentioned, and if that's your preference, then again, these are a great option. Can you get better audio elsewhere? Yeah. I'm thinking of the PX8s off the top of my head, but then you're in the realm of paying considerably more for only slightly extra, and that's not what this comparison is about. So if you're happy with the design of both and it's hard to pick a winner when it comes to sound quality, I believe that the real decision can be made in the features. Now there's a lot more going on with both of these headphones, and the differences in the added extras is where your winner can be found. Of course, what ticks my boxes might not be what ticks yours, so judge these against your own criteria. The first differentiator between headphones like these is the ANC quality, or active noise cancellation. Now I'm not going to beat around the bush here, the Momentum 4s have some seriously stiff competition. Sony is one of, if not the best out there when it comes to this sort of tech, and the XM5s are their best example of it right now. Now you don't need to mess around in the settings, the ANC is all worked out for you based on your surroundings, and it works really, really well. Coffee shops, roads, busy offices, you name it, you won't hear any of it. But the Momentum 4s aren't messing around either. These were surprisingly good when I first listened to them, and they can do a lot of the same things that Sony's can. They automatically adjust the level of noise cancellation by determining the amount of ambient noise around you, and there's almost nothing they can't drown out when you're in full flow either. But if I'm being honest, I do think that the XM5s take out ever so slightly more of the outside world. Now, we've done tests with our binaural mic in the office, by a busy road, and with some loud background noises, and the XM5s did just tip it for me. So guys, as you can now see, I'm next to a very busy road, and I've got the binaural mic set up. We're going to test the XM5s and the Momentum 4s for their active noise cancellation and their different transparency modes. So I'm going to play a track through them and then scroll through the different modes so you can hear how well they perform. Now, both of these headphones also come equipped with an ambient/transparency mode, allowing external sounds to permeate when needed, like when you want to talk to a colleague or something like that. Now, I slightly prefer the way Sony goes about it. Their speak to chat feature is cool, and you can place your hand over an ear cup like this and transparency mode kicks in. Now, you might look a little bit stupid doing it, but it cuts to the chase and it does the job that you want it to. So what about call quality? Now, I personally wear my over-ears a lot of the time, so I do tend to answer quite a few calls throughout the day on them. Both do a decent job, and in testing, it was easy for people on the other end of the call to hear my voice, even if there was quite a bit of background noise. So we're now going to do a call quality test for you guys, and the audio that you are hearing right now is being recorded directly into an iPhone. Then I'm going to put the Momentum 4s on, and finally I'm going to put the XM5s on and give you guys some examples of what the call quality or microphone quality is like on these pairs. So the audio that you guys are hearing right now is coming directly from the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. And finally, this is the microphone quality out of the Sony XM5. So hopefully you guys can tell a little bit of a difference between the iPhone audio versus the Sennheiser audio versus the Sony audio. But let me know in the comments below, which one do you think sounds better? Now, Sony probably do a slightly better job with their precise voice pickup technology from those 4 beamforming mics and the AI-powered noise reduction, which keeps your voice crystal clear for those on the other end. Now, both models offer wear detection, which is a key feature that I look out for in a pair of headphones, so they'll pause playback if you lift an ear cup or take them off. In terms of app control, Sennheiser's Smart Control app is super intuitive and jam-packed with some cool extra features. There's all your standard things like EQ adjustments and settings, but there's also a nifty feature called Sound Check that essentially guides you through your custom preset creation. You've also got the Sound Zones feature, which is pretty handy, and I've used this a lot, and it basically lets you create custom audio profiles for specific places that you tag yourself. You can adjust the EQ and noise isolation levels for these different places, so that could be your gym, office, or workplace, and this will then just toggle on-off automatically when you come in or leave that respective zone. Sony has a pretty similar location awareness feature in their Headphone Connect app that learns your routines and adjusts the ambient noise levels accordingly, but it doesn't quite have the same level of functionality and customization. So the point does go to Sennheiser there. Don't get me wrong, the Sony Headphone Connect app isn't bad. It has a little more to tinker around with on the whole. I just think that Smart Control is the more intuitive UI, and if I had to pick one to use on a daily basis, it would have to be Sennheiser's. In terms of connectivity, both of these boast Bluetooth 5.2 with multi-point connection, but the Momentum 4s support aptX and aptX Adaptive as opposed to the Sonys, which support AUDAC. Now, this might not affect your day-to-day usage, especially if you're an iPhone user, but if you're on the lookout for specific codecs, then it is worth highlighting. Now, one of the biggest differences in terms of their feature lists is battery life, with the Momentum 4s offering a massive 60 hours with ANC on, and the XM5s only offering 30, and this is certainly something that Sennheiser shout about. Of course, 30 hours is still great and will last for most people's use cases, whether that be long journeys or a good few days in the office, but having to worry even less about charging with double the battery life is great. The Momentum 4s also have the edge when it comes to fast charging too. Now, they offer 6 hours of playback from a 10-minute charge, while the Sonys only generate 5 hours from that same time frame. Now, it is worth knowing that neither of these actually offer an IP rating to make them weatherproof, so you can't really split them there, but I'll admit, I have done some light runs and exercise in them both, and I'd have them down as sweat resistant in my book. Now, I would probably say that the XM5s were just a little bit comfier of the two here. Obviously, don't take my word for that and don't go blaming me if your headphones stop working after a particularly sweaty gym session, but so far, they've both been fine for me. So what are my final thoughts then? Well, if you couldn't tell already, this is not a straightforward decision. Both of these are 5-star contenders, and while I like new tech as much as anyone, both of these are really smart buys right now at the current price point, with rumoured upgrades coming soon. And as mentioned, while we've been testing new models like the Bose, which offer slight upgrades, they're not significant enough in my eyes to warrant that step up in price. So, which would I choose? Well, I think if I were making this decision at the back end of 2022, then I'd probably say that the Momentum 4s were the smart choice, given the lower launch price. But fast forward to now, and the XM5s have clawed back that ground. Now, as I said, I think the decisions are made in the details, and for my use case and personal preferences, the XM5s just take that top spot now. But there will absolutely be those of you out there who the Momentum 4s are perfect for, and hopefully I've highlighted the key differences to help make that choice more clear for you. So over to you. What do you guys think? Are you going for Sony or are you going for Sennheiser? Let me know in the comments below, and also let me know what other comparisons you'd like to see next. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you all in the next video.